Hello again, it is me, and this is not about my surgery, and it's not about an unboxing or an unbagging. I was tagged by Miss Brickbat to do the confessions of a Fat Girl confession, Fat Girl confessions, or Fat Girl diary, whatever it is, whatever it's called, but she asked me to do it, so I have said yeah. Okay. So yeah, I took my glasses off because I don't know. There's a lot of things to talk about, but I'm gonna sort of put them all in place and just, hit on each and every one of them, I guess. Now today is the 1st of August for us, so pinch and a punch, everyone. First day of the month. So we're coming into spring here, and I'm so freaking happy. So happy. I mean, it's coming up to the end of winter and into spring, so thank God, because this winter has been really fucking cold. But let's not go there. Okay, alright, so as you all know, my name's Tina and I'm 48. I'm a mother of 5. And wow. My weight, you know what, as a child, I lived a beautiful childhood. I will not complain about my childhood at all, because there was only one thing in my childhood that I hated more than anything. And I'll tell you about it, but I'm not going to go there too much on it, because you know what, as Brickbat said, I don't want people to go on the pity train, because I ain't getting on it. So I don't want people to pity me, or to feel sorry for me, or to feel bad and stuff like that, because it's life. It's how we deal with our life, I guess. My weight problems did not start until I was about 5. Like as a baby and as a toddler, I had a very good life, and my mum used to take lots of photos, and she would take us into the city to pay all of her bills, and we'd go and see the Santa in the city every year and get our photos done and all that sort of stuff. So it was a very normal childhood. I have 3 older sisters, and I had an older brother and a younger brother, and my older brother has passed away. And my parents have both passed away. But that's a little bit into the story. My weight problems started when I believe I was about 5, 6. When my older brother molested me, and repeatedly molested me for many years. Scared me into the thinking that if I told anybody about it, that they would blame me and it would be all my fault, and I would cop a flogging. Because back in the days, you did something bad, you copped a bloody good hiding with the belt or with the car track. I hated my brothers because my little brother had a fucking car track, and that fucker hurt. I only copped it once, so trust me, I learnt my lesson. I only ever copped a smack once by my dad, because the man had hands like a freaking gorilla. Big. I grew up in a relatively big family, and when I say big family, yes, it was a big family, but big family as in my mother was overweight, but she wasn't badly overweight. My father was morbidly obese. All my sisters were obese and becoming morbidly obese. My older brother was thin and my younger brother was thin, and there was me in between those two. My brother doing things to me he should never have done. And I would eat to take away the thoughts, the memories. I packed that shit into a box and I put it right up in the back of my mind, so I didn't think about it every single day. But I guess in my mind I was thinking about it, because I found solace in eating, and I ate. I would eat, like, we got, milk arrowroot biscuits here. I don't know if you guys know what they are, but they're just like a plain biscuit. I've got a picture of me standing there holding like 3 of them in my hand, and holding another one that I'd taken a bite out of in this hand. And that was in the afternoon, and like I'd come home from school, my mother and father were out, so I was with the neighbours. And she asked me what was wrong, and I just said that I was sad, and so she went and got biscuits and handed them to me and then took a photo of me, and I was like, that's when it all started. We were never without food. My dad used to work as a butcher at one of the leading meat manufacturers here, and he was he was in charge of a big section there. So he was a foreman. And every week he would get a meat order, so there was never a day where we were without meat. They were always having barbecues and having, big family friend get-togethers and with the neighbours and all that sort of stuff, and there was never ever a shortage of food. My mother was a baker, a brilliant cook. So it was always good meals every single day. And when my mother, she would make us lunch, she would make us sandwiches and cordial and all of that sort of stuff. Cordial, you guys don't know what cordial is if you live in the States, but cordial is just like a sweet syrup that you put into water that kind of flavours the water and gives it a different colour, obviously. So yeah, she would always make sure that we were really well fed. If we ever went to things like the exhibition, which is like a big fair for us here, she would make food for us to take, and we would have our food, and then she would probably buy us a little treat, maybe some chips and stuff like that, and then we would get show bags, which are like full of chocolates and chips and drinks and all that sort of stuff, So essentially I led a very, very normal childhood, except for that one thing that happened that was ruining my childhood. And back then, you run around like a normal kid, so you don't really feel or think too much about it. But I used to steal food. I used to go into the fridge, and like at Christmas time, my dad would go up to the KFC at Morningside, because it was a local KFC. He would buy 2 buckets of chicken, bring it home, put it out on a tray, let any of the excess oil drip down onto dripping paper, and he would put it in the fridge. So it would all be in the fridge, and it'd be sitting there waiting for Christmas Day, because, everybody got to have it on Christmas Day. Well, not me. I used to sneak into the kitchen. I'd wait until they were either watching a lot of TV and stuff like that, and I'd steal 1 or 2 pieces. I'd go downstairs, I would stuff myself with them, throw away the bones, and then I would go back upstairs, wash my face and wash my hands. It's kind of hard to admit that, because I did. I used to steal food, and if my sister brought herself Nennish tarts, which are kind of like little jam and cream tarts with a nice shiny frosting on the top of it, she would buy herself those from the local bakery, and she would buy several of them. She had no one to spend the money on it but herself, so she would buy all of that sort of shit, and she's paying for it now because she's obese and needs hip surgery and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I was secretly eating. I wasn't eating everything in front of my family. If I would have lunch at home, I would go over to my neighbour's place, and she'd be making sandwiches and stuff for her kids, and she said, "Have you had lunch yet, Tina?" I'm like, "No." So I would eat there too. So it was always a case of hiding how the stuff that I would eat. I would eat all bad food. It was not always bad. When I was at home and my mum had to cook for us and stuff, it was never bad food. It was always good food that she cooked for us, and vegetables and meat and stuff like that, but it was the serving sizes that were really big. They always used to say, "Oh, you're just big boned." I'm like, no, I don't think so. But I always felt ashamed that I was eating and stuff, and at the time it didn't run through my head that I was eating for the reasons that I was eating. I was ashamed of myself for allowing him to do what he was doing to me and not saying anything. I was ashamed of myself for stealing food. I was ashamed of myself for hiding the food that I was stealing off everybody and eating it. I would take a whole heap of things. I would even, like, I'd steal my sister's cigarettes, and I'd do all of that sort of stupid shit. Stupid childhood shit. Then I started to be able to earn myself a living. When I was 14 going on 15, I got my first job, and it was just constant since then. I got a casual job, and then I got a permanent job, and then another permanent job, and it just constantly went on from there. So then I could afford to buy things, and I could afford to buy foods and stuff like that. So I would buy chocolates, and I would buy takeaways, and by that point in time, I was big, but I wasn't extremely big. I was just a big girl. Everybody used to say, oh yeah, she's just a big girl. And you don't realise that, you know, like, you cop so much when you're in primary school and stuff like that. Kids tease you and taunt you and call you every name under the sun. And I see some of those people now, and they're not so great anymore. They're older and they're overweight. They don't look so fucking great. But yet they used to treat me like shit when I was in primary school. And so I became a bully. I wouldn't bully people. I call myself a bully because I used to fight back. And it got to the point where, you know, nobody would, you know, step up to me because I would just go off my nut and give them a hide. But it was always in the back of my head because I was never able to tell anybody about what had happened to me, and the fact that not only did he do that, but his friends did it too. I tried never to be alone with any of them. If my parents wanted to leave me at home with my brother, I said, no, I want to come with you. But it didn't always work out that way. So then I started having children of my own, and I went through the first pregnancy. I was nauseous all day long, and but then after a while I was able to eat stuff, and it wasn't the best of stuff because I was eating like rice with like the juices of a curry because I couldn't eat the meats and stuff, so I put the juices on the rice and I would just sit and eat that. Bread was a big thing for me growing up and as an adult. I remember, and this has happened many times, I'm on my second marriage, by the way. My first husband, complete douchebag, we call him the donor, and that's all he is and all he'll ever be. He kind of put me in a position where I started to feel extremely bad about myself. He was sleeping around, and not just with grown women, with 18 and 16-year-olds. He was telling them he loved them and shit like that, and I didn't find out about all of this until it was too late, and I'd had 5 kids by the one fucking man. But suffice to say, when I finally got fed up with it, I left him, and I was on my own for a while with my kids, and then I met the most amazing man, and he is my husband now, and he is just perfect. For me, he's perfect. He may not be perfect for everybody, but that doesn't make any difference to me because I don't want him to be perfect for anyone else. But I've even hidden things from him, and I've hidden things from my kids, and I feel really guilty over it. I felt really guilty over it. I mean, I did admit things to them eventually, but I used to go out and I would buy food and stuff like that I know that they would have loved, and I would just buy it, I would eat it before I got home, and I'd throw it in the bin before I saw them. So much the same as everyone else, Brit Brat and everyone else that's done it, you know, like we've all hidden things from people. And we've secretly ate, and we've stolen food, and I used to eat an entire pizza on my own, a whole fucking large pizza. In Australia, large pizzas are like your tiny pizzas over there, okay? But I used to eat an entire one, all on my own. And I would eat takeaway foods. When we would get Chinese, I would get 2 different ones. I would get maybe a honey chicken. Sorry, I was just checking. I thought somebody was coming through the door. I'd get honey chicken, I'd get special fried rice, and I would get either sweet and sour pork or chicken and vegetables or satay chicken or something like that. I would eat half a tub of rice. I would eat almost all of the honey chicken and about half of the other one, and then I'd put the other two halves together and I would eat that the next day. So takeaway foods were a big downfall for me. Now, I went on many diets. I tried them all and I lost weight. I lost weight during each pregnancy, not through doing it on purpose, because I didn't want to hurt my babies. But I lost a lot of weight during pregnancies, and the doctors were concerned, like, are you dieting? And I'm like, no, I'm not fucking stupid. I've got a baby growing inside me. Why would I diet? I said, I'm just not overeating, you know? And I used to tell myself, you don't overeat. You don't eat too much. You eat good food. I'm not a sweets person. I never really have been. Like, when I was younger, I used to love ice cream and lollies and stuff like that, and I just have not been able to eat those sort of things for a very long time, which is a good thing. But now I have an aversion to anything sweet because I can't stand the sweetness of it, of any of it. Sodas, all of that sort of stuff. I can't drink anything like that either. But yeah, you know, like, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, so I'm not going to go on with this, guys. But essentially, you know, I did these things, and I hid these things from my kids, and I hid them from my family. And I didn't do it to hurt them. I did it because I needed it at the time in my head. I needed it. I needed to eat that. I needed to get that. I would eat 2-3 tacos at a time. I would eat, when we would make nachos, it was a massive plate of nachos and chili on the top, and then sour cream, and then cheese all melted over it. And we would have parties. I would make so much food, and we would have so much food left over and stuff, and you don't really realize what you're doing to yourself until you really sit back and take a good look and go, what the F have you done? I never saw the weight coming on. It was creeping on real fast, but I didn't see it until I actually looked at the scales and realized I had done something so stupid, and something I thought I would never ever do to myself, because I watched my sisters struggle with their weight for many years. And I let myself get round to their kind of size. So it's a hard thing to admit that you've done these things, especially to people that you really don't know. You only know, I mean, I'm not saying I don't know you, but essentially, personally, I don't know you. I don't see you. I haven't physically met you, but and I know my son watches this, so he's going to see it. So I'm very sorry that I did these things. Most of the times I would buy them for my kids, I would. But there were times where I would get things for myself, and it didn't matter that they didn't have it. I just needed it, so I got it. Or I would buy too much shit. And what I would do is I'd come home with it in the bag. I'd get the things out of the bag that needed to be left in the kitchen, and I would walk into the computer room. I'd put the bag in there, and I'd start eating it until it was all gone. I could eat an entire bag of potato chips and an entire block of chocolate, all of that sort of crap, you know. I was not a chocolate eater essentially, but once a month I would eat, and I would have an entire block. So yeah, there is my confessions, I guess, and I'm glad that they offered me to have the surgery. I'm glad that they did the surgery, and I'm glad that I'm following it the way I am following it, and I'm starting to notice huge differences in my looks and in my body and in my mind. And I've been able to let go of a lot of things, and I've been eating properly for quite some time. My body just didn't want to get rid of any more weight, so the surgery has been a godsend, and I honestly cannot thank my doctors and nurses and surgeons enough for what they've done. So there's my confession, guys. It's a bit long, eh? It's nearly 20 minutes, so I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go There's my confession. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Love you all.